I'm Deborah Jackson, and you can say I'm passionate about rockets. Now, there's 3 major types of rockets, but for the sake of time, I'm only going to focus on 2. The first being solid fuel rockets. Now, what you have is you have a very condensed, solid substance, and all it needs is a simple spark to ignite it. And then once it's ignited, the propulsion generates is shot out the back. Now, liquid fuel rockets, what they have is usually two liquid substances, one being an oxidizer, and they're pumped together, ignited, and then the propulsion they generate is also shot out the back. Now, every project has its own reasons for using a particular kind of rocket, usually according to the pros and cons they present. The first pro being a solid fuel rocket pros. Now, they have a simple ignition point. All you have to do is ignite it with a single spark, and then the propulsion they generate can be shot out the back. They're also fairly reliable, and they generate a lot of thrust. Unfortunately, they can't be stopped once they've been ignited. You've sacrificed a lot of your control for that easy ignition. They're also very hard to manufacture, because if you have any air pockets or flaws, you might get an explosion you don't want. They can also be very short-lived. They punch hard, but not for very long. Now, liquid fuel rockets are almost opposite in every single aspect. They can be stopped, and their chemicals are fairly simple to control. It's because you're pumping them in that you can control how much thrust you're giving at a simple point, and they can have a long, steady thrust if you wish. But unfortunately, you've made your system a lot more complex. You have to control pumps, backfills, coolant systems, you name it. Now, every rocket has pretty basic components that affect its thrust. The first being the fuel substance, that which affects your burn rate. You also have the combustion chamber, that is where all your hot exhaust is condensed and then shot through the throat, where all your ideal gas laws are happening. You have your pressure, volume, and temperature all directly linked. Now, the throat, what it does is it increases the velocity of your exhaust just before it passes through the nozzle, which directs that thrust. Now, like I said earlier, each rocket has its own purposes. Like the Space Shuttle, for example, uses both. It has solid boosters to give it that initial thrust it needs to get going, while it also uses liquid fuel the entire time to maintain its thrust as it goes through different forms of pressure. And that's why I love all this so much. Everything is linked.